Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever our listeners then day in the world. It's nice coming back to Una again. Today, March 2nd, 2025. And Ramadan Mubarak to all our listeners then. You know, yesterday was the start or was the first day of fasting. So we just wish everybody happy Ramadan. And hopefully uh, we let God bless all, we all, Christians, Muslims, non-Christians, non-Muslims, regardless, we don't stand too much in judgment of anyone or everyone. So we wish everybody the best of Ramadan. And today, the show, Mr. Jamborea is not going to be with us uh, for personal reason. So when me and Mr. Mengot go do the show, when all can listen to it for when we're familiar with the show. When I know say Mr. Mengot, I'm a co-host. He will be coming to Una from Surrey, England. And of course, Mina Mohammed Shilom coming to Una from the USA. And so we want to start off with Chusa we left off, not to last weekend, but the weekend before last. Because last weekend, Mr. Jamborea, Mr. Mengot was not with us. So that's a topic we feel say without him we can't do as well. We'll be doing a disservice to our listeners them and our audience. So we decided to skip that aspect there and do some other things which were of great interest to people then. We get a large participation. So Mr. Mengot is back. So today we resume where we left off, like I say. So I will talk to we about mainly the topic is going to be about transportation in Sierra Leone, how to make things more efficient, how the laws should be regulated, or how transportation should be regulated and how the laws should be enacted or passed in parliament and the city and all of that. So we get certain things then from time to time I go asking questions where he go answer, but in get now in command of the topic today, what we get for deal with. So without much ado, let me, before I pass it over to Mr. Mengot, make I just simply come up with the numbers then. The numbers they will for reach we in case when I get questions or comments for make. A lot of when I would listen to we already familiar with the numbers, then probably get them all memorized by head or written down somewhere. It's easy, you can easily reach them. But nonetheless, since this is a program, we have to start and repeat the same thing every day. We can't assume say, and besides, we may have new people that will listen for the first time. So because of that, let me go over the numbers, then how the sources them. Well, I go reach you very quickly. And let me remind you and say again, this is now VOS Television Network. So with that, if you are in the United States, Mexico, or Canada, and you want to call in for make a statement or ask questions, please call from the toll-free line, which will cost you nothing, and then at 1-866-944-7722. The toll-free line, 1-866-944-7722. While on toll-free, if you're calling from England, particularly from London, or if you call them from the UK, because England gets UK, London, England, go to +44 2080891455. +44 2080891455. Likewise, if you call from Australia, go to +61 2909843337. Calling from Australia, free, without expense to you is +61 290984 And of course, last but not least, as far as the phone numbers are concerned, is what is the WhatsApp line. We enable you for call from anywhere, even locally meaning from within the United States. You can call on WhatsApp too. Or from anywhere in the world, go to +1 343 997 5828 +1 343 997 5828. And we also can catch we on the VOS radio. On the VOS radio, go to 91.9 FM. On the VOS radio, go to 91.9 FM. Someone tried for tell me, say, when they try for reach 91.9 FM, then they get some local 91.9 FM station. So I think you have to download the control room can correct me, but you have to download if you're abroad, or particularly if you're in the United States, because I'm sure there may be overlapping 91.9 FM stations that I have. So, but you will get for download, you go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for download the VOS app to be able to reach the 91.9 FM station. And in addition to that, then they carry a variety of outlets. The VOS television broadcasting platforms, then get different platforms. So if you go on YouTube, VOS television, you can reach me. If you go on Facebook, VOS television, you can reach me. If you go on former Twitter, where they call X now, on VOS television, you go reach me. Then if you go, just go na VOS TV website, www.vostelevision.com, you go reach me on the internet. VOS radio website, www.vosradio.com. You know, you go reach me. Of course, as I mentioned, the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store, the mobile app, you will get a mobile app where you will use for reach me, I believe. Now we'll look at radio station back home. And then last but not least, you get Twitch TV. Go on VOS television, you will be able to reach we. We also get some fundraising, what would they do for scholarship from the diaspora for very bright speaking them back home, where they do well at school, but come from very poor homes. So them picking and they can only be in school for so long if the parents do not get the money for sustain them. So we ask if we go to the VOS diaspora, when I go to vosdiaspora.org, when I go get information about this diaspora scholarship program. The VOS Diaspora Scholarship Program, if you go to vosdiaspora.org, you will be able to get the information where you need for make whatever contribution you want to make. With that said, let me pass on over to my co-host, Mr. Victor Mengot, who will be mostly in charge today. And so over to you, Mr. Mengot.
Mr. We co-host Mr. Jallo Jamboria with King tell Aduna language. This one, I'm from you know. Then today we're going to this one, Jarama. Because
that's true.
Okay. Exactly. We're not for left down out. But today we get Bokutin then at this Shukublai for telling her. I think so waiting me. Colleague not tell you, don't do the transportation. But with time, one thing they will be not promising I will see come up. We go highlight them because we can forget a continuation. When at this tripartite agreement, because it's very important. But law come to transportation and let telling her why they can't do this topic. Now in a salon, if I ask question, which are the most popular form of transport? Or the way all man they use? Na motorbike. And for flashback, why they call her Okada? They call her Okada because the name will borrow from Nigeria. Of course, we all know the link between Sierra Leone and Nigeria. So commercial motorbike come from Nigeria, and it starts during the wartime. And that time because the only means of transport people they take travel, go to them village and bush parts. So now so it come. With the end of the war, we get what you call the DDR, the disarmament, where some of the people then where be involved, the youth man them, they say for friend work for them. So most of them then say, okay, let them go transport, because transport now one of the area where it's easy for let people then get work. But motorcar is very expensive, so a majority of them youth here then take on this Okada. This now this commercial bike. It getting blessing and it getting cost. The blessing I go start with, say this form of transport. Now the rural areas them outside Freetown is very important because there is no other form of transport. We will not get proper road infrastructure, so na bush part. And you don't see some of the way that they operate them, although it's against the law. This Okada, they carry all kind of things. I don't see a situation self where they the body self, then they wrap them, put them at the back of Okada rider. Because we not get vehicle them for transport, the body them from Sontel side and die for care and go. So this is a multi-purpose form of transport. But most of them things anyway they do is against the law. So today we want to now for make family know what's in the law. And why we bring this program? Because the last program we get a new Minister of Internal Affairs. When a former police officer, a well-respected man, he retired as Assistant Inspector General of Police, Maury Lengo. And now we get interest in safety. In fact, now we been do something where na game we been do, where he talk about traffic enforcement. So he come, he say, well, let them put a restriction of their Okada. Now what would they call the Central Business District? The Central Business District, now the commercial area in Freetown, if you take them in terms of position-wise, it starts from St. John and end up now Upgun Table. So the main arterial road, like where you take from St. John, you take Campbell Street, you take Pademba Road, you take Dundas Street, you take Savage Street, you take Adelaide Street, you take Kuto Road, Shaka Stevens Street, Wilberforce Street, Godrich Street. All these streets then stop them. Fube Road. So when they start, they say, okay, the police, the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, and the Freetown City Council, where they say get responsibility for traffic law enforcement, let them come together and get a task force for look at this restriction. So initially, they may give people them, like, say, well, for the first 2 to 3 weeks, then go, when you violate the law, they will caution you. But as from this week we start, the 1st of March, now the law will bet you if you're gonna then treat them day. And when the minister they give an announcement, it said 2 things they will get for Rob Motpan, although we're telling her what the law say. It said number 1, now anybody who violates the law, then go charge you, the rider, where they ride the Okada, and then go also charge the passenger. The other law where it say to we down there again, it say when it comes for helmets, we all know what the reason why person for wear helmet when they ride, whether in a rider or in a passenger. Now, because if you get accident where you hit the ground, now for prevent brain damage, head injuries, because there are lots of information on that where they happen to people then. And then two things, and he say, well, they're not going to enforce the law so much for passenger because of health reason. So now the introduction that, so before I go, like give me my colleague chance for what I say, then I go begin do with the law one by one for let people understand the law. Because generally we say ignorance of the law is no excuse. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much again, Mr. Mengot. Now, normally, in law, we get what you call statutory interpretation. So, because Mr. Mengot just mentioned, just not for say, the person in charge for enforcement of them, the operation of vehicles them in the country, get some opinion, and it seems like he's a no-nonsense kind of person. So I get some questions them, and I think I get observation there. Because one of the things that Mr. Mengo just mentioned is this person who proposed but Mr. Mengo, by the way, is that Mr. Morilengo or is that someone else?
Yeah, Morilengo, AIG Morilengo. He's the Minister of Internal Affairs, and the Ministry of Internal Affairs now in charge of police.
Okay, so Mr. Morilengo. Okay, Mr. Morilengo, they suggest if the Okada operators them, and I'm using the word operators, meaning the possible way, because I think operator get dual meaning in Sierra Leone. They call the owners of Okada operator. If I'm wrong again, Mr. Mengo, you can correct me. So I want to make a distinction. The operator to me are the person with the right way to control the bike for purposes of this discussion. So Mr. Lengo say when they will give warning for people and for violation of the law, and then after beyond the warning, next time for future violations, even passengers can be charged with violation of the law. So I get a little curious. How do you construct a statute without encroaching on the freedom of movement of a passenger of a vehicle for later passenger day we become an offender, become criminally liable because of simply riding? We're not talk about free ride. This is something the person to pay for. So I would like to know what are the elements of the law of the statute that will enable the state for charge a passenger, and how that law will be consistent or will meet constitutional, past constitutional muster. Then I take the position that there's a lot of talk about what Mr. Mengo not mentioned that yet, so I don't want to jump the rope, because there's a thing about NGO's license plates, then there's a thing about helmet. So I will stop right here, but I get questions on the NGO's license plate, or stolen NGO's license plate, and then I want to use the Steady Bongo situation as an example, if and when we get to the wearing of helmets. So let me go back to you, Mr. Mengot, to be sure I not stay ahead of you. I rather say something where you already do address. So my question is the law, waiting, because again, statutory interpretation requires every law or every statute has to have some elements to make the crime complete. There has to be elements of the crime. So in this instance, I'm not familiar with the element of which crime will one be in violation of, that Mr. Lengo they talk about, that will arise to the level of a criminal offense or a traffic offense. You can enlighten me on that?
Okay, let's start with the first law.
Okay.
The law where it refer to in Sierra Leone, let's explain how the laws then dey. Number one, the primary law where we get for traffic now the Road Traffic Act 2007. None are the most recent, but there were previous ones. Well, I'll just stick to the 2007. 7 make provision for regulations, which is an extension when at the Road Traffic Regulation 2011. So let's start with the 2007. Under the 2007 Act, you get a section we talk about registration and license. It said nobody not for ride any motorcycle unless it is registered for that purpose. What do you mean registered for that purpose? Now, 2 registration you get for motorbikes, right? In fact, 3. You get 1 for private use, just like you want to use your motorbike for the go up and down, a different license than they. You get another one where it relates to non-governmental organizations. With the one and they, now NGO, where most of them now for staff use, and also you can get some other one way you go register that motorcycle there for people that way they do courier service. You know, say now we not get a postal system that much like first away postman when they go drop letter in our house. Now, beaucoup people and they use couriers, motorcycle couriers. So now different license than the one that they get. But the one where they talk about now, and the one where they talk about commercial motorbike, we don't need a license them for carry persons. When I take person, when I all know as we call Okada. We don't become prevalent in our roads because 1, because of congestion, you're able to move faster than other means of transport. Number 2, in the city, certain areas and the way they go, where other transport they go. Let's give an example. If you take the Lumley axis, as we know, Lumley is a place where they don't build this major terminal. From Lumley, where you reach around that Lumley Juba Bridge area, if you go through Regent Road Lumley, further beyond, like you go Babadori, Kamayama, and then Pleasant, you not go use any other means of transport past this commercial bike, what they call Okada, when at the last mile. So you get forget special license for that. So again, when they license you for that purpose day, right? Who that they give you the license? We'll come to that later on. The license, they go issue them by the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority. Now then they issue the license. But we'll talk more about how then they issue license when we come to traffic enforcement. That same act there, it say every person operating a commercial, anybody where they operate that commercial motorbike or any motorbike, if you get a reflectorized apron. What do they mean by reflectorized apron? You know what we call like the Ivy's vest. You know like the one the way they wear, where if they do roadworks, you sabi the one and then that's what we call that.
Yeah.
Well, you know we all lawyer and the law the way they can put where the way they can draft the law. I know so you don't comment a lot about that drafting, but where you say reflectorized apron and shall comply with a section 114. What in section 114 deal with? I will deal with it after that. When are the wearing of protective crash helmet by himself, the one where they ride, and the passenger. And also it talk about things to deal with hours of work. When most people they don't know. Because under section 79.3 subparagraph 3b, it said enough for work more than 10 hours in every 24 hours. And any person where they operates and contravene the lawyer is liable to a fine of 200,000. So the two things I don't talk now the license, the different form of license, two now the wearing of helmet, where we therefore deal with after this, we can under section 122 of the same act. So over to you, sir.
All right, sir. Can you go over the more than 10 hours within what period of time? 24 hours? Or is it
Yeah,
within the
it says
25?
shall have hours of work not exceeding 10 hours in every 24 hours. The key question there is, how do you enforce such a law?
That was going to be my main question here. You see, this is where I talk about vagueness of the law. So these people don't become the people who are making them laws here, who they draft them laws here. They know they put the required amount of time put some deep thought into coming up with good legislations then. Like the act. It sounds good when you say 10 hours, but how do you regulate that? Because a person could have been 10 hours on the road and claim he's only started an hour ago. So that poses an intellectual challenge. So the law itself on its face makes sense because the reason for that, and you get to explain the rationale for the law. Because on the one hand, anybody, a self-employed person, constitutionally should have no limitation in terms of how long he works for himself. But then this is where you get conflict of laws now. But now we talk about commercial vehicles. We talk about safety of the public. So now if we try for legislating lawyer, we would talk about 10 hours. Somebody needs to come up with a question just like I made the race so. Not just put on there because maybe they see it somewhere else. Say, well, how do we enforce that? Because in a good constitutionally settled country, defense attorneys or defense lawyers will beat them charges here every time in court. Because when you charge a person with, even if the person say, just spontaneously say to you, I've not begun for ride motorbike since 7 o'clock this morning, without thinking. Then it turned out that it's more than 10 hours. It can reverse that, say, well, I'm not going to think, I just want to call, but no, not the truth. I start so and so tip. So should we just coming up with ideas? Should we have, can I give you a good example? There is, Mr. Mengo must be familiar with that. We get a taxi system worldwide called Uber. Of course, you get Lyft, you get other competing enterprises there. But what happens? And this is just me thinking, okay? Just because this is the real challenge of we government and the people that want to put there. When you want to make this kind of a law, enforcement will be the key. And the question, how do we enforce it within the bounds of the Constitution or the law? Now, for be with major consideration. And there is nothing that we think of that we cannot put into effect properly. But one thing I noticed back home, there is this intellectual laziness. We don't want to spend the time that it takes to just get anything going. So I think of Uber, just trying to come up with some ideas. And somebody can even say that don't apply. The technology is there. When a person to drive Uber, this taxi system, when you need to go to work, you just the key in from your computer. For let you or your owner know, say you're about to start and you're ready to be called for a trip. You see, so you can register when you get started. Now the government can come up with a system like that. Get a system whereby once you hit the road commercially, you get for check-in with DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle, or I don't know what is the acronym for the agency where they regulate traffic. But the agency can spend money in buying the necessary equipment, what will allow every Okada rider for just key in or register once you're going to hit the road for commercial operational purpose. That may be one way. There may be many other ways that I'm not thinking about because I'm not so scientifically inclined. But others say that way you eliminate the argument about how do you know how long the person has been riding or driving. So if you're stopped by the police within any time, the police will be able to get away with it and check for see when you started operating this vehicle, because it's also constitutional. You not get to be in violation of the law before the police stop you. There has to be a balance. Police then, for safety of the public, they can do what you call spot checks. Not all the time, not to impede the efficient flow of traffic, but to just try to see if people and they comply. So they can stop you, check, look at your license plate, check in with the agency where they regulate traffic and that, and say, okay, yeah, this person has been on the road. Then just tell you, go on. We doesn't stop you for just see how long you've been riding. The technology is there, but we cannot be making laws here. We don't want to spend the necessary money and the necessary expertise for make sure, say, these laws are complied with properly. So I just want to stop right there, make a comment. Mr. Mengot, you're free to disagree with me. This is just so mine.
Okay, let me respond to you, because when they make law, you're a lawyer, and me, I say I don't get experience in reviewing traffic laws and even drafting traffic laws for other countries, notably in Kenya, Northern Cyprus, Somaliland. So for that law to apply, I get a solution based on the way we Okada and they operate. And this now from studies that I do and something I be not recommend, but it's been ignored. Now, if you look at how they operate, let me give people in the Okada how they operate. They are called the Sierra Leone Commercial Bike Riders Union. Right? In Freetown, let's take the Western region. Then get a headquarters now Upgon. Operation. Then get different parks the way relates to that particular area. Then you get the rural area where the main area and like Waterloo. So like Waterloo, so you get the main place, you get place like 5-5, you get place like Tombo Park. So you get a series of parks. Right? They come Western now. If you look Western, you get Western Urban, then you get Western Rural. Western Rural in a place like Levuma, because I did the boundary there between Western Rural and Western Urban. So what was my suggestion? And waiting and borrowing from what they do in Kenya. Them particular Okada, they could get them to register as a cooperative. So when you register as a cooperative, they know which cooperative they na a particular cooperative. You get so when you go start work, then get your name, number, you they register with the cooperative as to when you they start, and you they operate a particular zone. And then when you talk about this high-vis vest for identification purpose, you get different color. You get some where they wear green, some where they wear orange, some where they wear yellow, some where they wear red. So the passenger will know, say when they see you with green, they know whose zone you operate. So now from there you go able to control them if I apply this law. But if you not get them into their cells, then because I believe so when they do this law, then take them from some other country the way most of them people there, they operate under a business unit. But the way with people that operate Okada, now individuals, you get owner operator, when somebody will get a bike, they ride them for himself. You get somebody where now like they rent and pay rent to the owner. So the owner now get them, but in the rent them from the owner, in ride, then they give the owner a daily amount. I believe say for my last survey what I do, then they give the owner they ask for something like 80 new leons, when at 80,000 for day. That's what they give the owner. So whatever they make, now then they use for buy petrol and also for their money. So the first thing I for organize them to sell, put them into zone and give them zonal license. So that when you enforce the law, now from the zonal, you get a link with every. So if you stop at zone they operate from. So you can check who started begin work from that in zonal headquarters. So that will be my solution. Then in continuation, I don't know if you want to get that because one of the things that will come up now the use of helmets. Now let's go to the second law. We talk about helmets. Let's read the law. If you want me to go ahead, I can go ahead with that helmet law.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Now for deal with the helmet law, then under section 114 of the same act, the Road Transport Act 2007. And what in they say? Section 114 of that act say, 9 talk say, right, a person, anybody when they ride a motorcycle, forget a protective crash helmet of a type prescribed by the regulation. So what they say that not just any helmet, because we don't see some people there where the minister has been talking, bicycle, you're not going to use bicycle helmet for ride motorcycle. So if you say a type prescribed by the authority, who than the authority and the Sierra Leone Civil Aviation Authority, right? For safety reason, who that go specify what tool they use? Now the Sierra Leone Bureau of Standards, because any of them thing and then they get for, but the process they not that are the one. And it said anybody when not wear that crash helmet, they commit an offense and is liable to fine on summary conviction. This is the way to law. It says on summary conviction. So if for let them fine you, it means they have to take you to court and convict you for 100,000 old loans or 100 new loans, or if enough for exceed 200,000 or 200 millions, or a term of imprisonment for 9 months. Again, you can comment on that, whether imprisonment for kind side in this kind of traffic violation. Then it says the helmet for be of a particular construction or quality, because they want to provide protection from injury in the event of an accident for either they ride and either they on top of the motorbike. Listen, then it gets another law. Anybody will sell crash helmets where they were not to the type where the government prescribe, that person they also commit offense. And in fine will be 250 new 12 months or both. Yes, I can continue. Subsection 5 say when somebody or insert day on top, you talk about equipment, but you not define what's in equipment. Describe in contravention of the law. So if you talk about equipment, what I see in other places, for a rider, you get to talk about the protective helmet, right? You get to talk about what they wear, who will not get that lorry. Because you get protective clothing for cyclists. You get protective gloves. You get riding shoes. All that they will not get them, but that's that law they refer to. Solar left fire, I think I don't give beaucoup them for comment on.
Yes, sir. Thank you again. Thank you again. Let us start off with the summary conviction, the phrase. Now, what would that mean? Because my understanding of summary, if they convict you, if you get a summary conviction, it means the facts, there are no genuine issues or facts to be debated. That's when the word summary comes into play a lot of times. That, you ask for a summary judgment because the violation, the law, vis-a-vis the act for which you've been found guilty is undisputable. So therefore, they will use the phrase or the word summary. Otherwise, every law passed, they cannot have a summary conviction in criminal law when there has been no trial. So before you get to summary conviction, you get to deal with the law of arrest. You get to deal then with the elements of the offense of the crime, and before you get to summary conviction. So I wonder why they use the word summary. Why they not just simply say in the event of a conviction? I left the word summary because summary could be problematic in a lot of ways, because that is a highly technical legal word that could mean more than, I, as a lawyer, don't get any idea what they mean by summary conviction. My understanding of a summary conviction is a conviction that comes about without trial, without the issues of facts being presented, without the defendant not get the opportunity for present a defense, because summarily on its face, you're in violation of the law. They don't want to hear anything, so you get convicted. So I think that word, the summary, can be problematic. Again, sometimes it would be good if we can get the lawyers, them, even the drafters, them of some of them lawyers here for kind of let them tell you what they had in mind. Because Mr. Jamboria mentioned that in one of we programs that there is a lot of plagiarizing, meaning there's a lot of copying of other countries' materials by women people with the draft laws. They're not taking into account whether the wording of which they try for legislate suit the circumstances on the ground. So that summary conviction thing they poses some legitimate legal and constitutional issues if lawyers, in fact, if violators, particularly Okada drivers or riders, are being trained to get lawyers, and the lawyers are being trained out for defense some of them cases here. You see, then we talk about imprisonment. I think it's a waste of resources, it's a waste of time for require imprisonment in situations where there is no serious injuries, because the law seems to be vague on that, or there is no death occurring as a result of gross negligence, not just accident. So, or by not wearing an helmet, that should land you in jail. It's a waste of resources, it's a waste of time, because when I say resources, when you take that person there, where would they go on whatever errand? It could have been going to work. It could have been going to sell something. You arrest them and it lead to in conviction. Well, think of, first of all, the policing time, the prison time, unless, again, what we talk about imprisonment, we can get what you call suspended sentences, where I think the phrase back home, "a bound over peace," will not use that much of that technique there. So you can be convicted of 6 months in jail, 3 months in jail, but the conviction or the suspension or the imprisonment can be suspended. We call it go get active time. So instead of going to jail, you can get that hanging over you. So there is some wisdom in it, but nothing that's so then they look up. So if the person is convicted and sentenced to 3 months in jail, the first practice should be generally, what's putting the person actively in jail. But to get that jail, they are hanging over him just in case he get convicted again. So if he get convicted again, which means you're not learning a lesson before he take chance with the law, then the court, it can be charged with violation of in suspended conviction because the time not run out yet. If he commits another crime within the 3 months, we then say for good jail. There are many ways, but it takes some thought for putting to them jail. Just not to write the law just because other countries then get them. And I think, in fairness to the Okada riders then too, therefore, the organization forget lawyers, whether specialized in engineer or whether defending kind cases here, can talk to them periodically from time to time as a group, for tell them the do's and don'ts and how for watching at the steps. If then charge them with any crime, then they waiting for do, waiting not for do. You know. Now then we talk about this the Standard Bureau. Well, again, when you say a helmet of a certain type, quality, who regulates it? How do you regulate it? And we therefore be very careful, knowing with tendency not for create a monopoly on a brand or on a type. It will be free to everybody who they sell helmets for sell them, but whoever the seller also could be dragged into this whole dragnet, because if you sell helmet, you will be familiar with the quality and the standard that it meet the standard. So if police then just can't inspect, then say that thing they don't meet any of the standard, say something a fake type, you know, you, the seller, can be charged. There should be, but you can be charged not at the discretion of the police. You can be charged if there is a law that you're in violation of. So when you make the law, you could include the sellers them of the helmet. If you want to make the law effective by letting them know that, like possession of stolen goods, I think Australia until now will get allowed. Because the most developed countries get that. Somebody can sell you something with a thief when a stolen goods. Just possessing that goods, that material there, in and of itself is a crime. Not what you get for thief ammo, just possessing them. So what do you have to do to protect yourself? Well, somebody can sell you something, you ask a name, an address, get as much identification from them, and then make a sign, give you a receipt, so it will show legitimate transaction. Otherwise, just by finding a stolen goods with you, you can be convicted of that particular crime. That don't get nothing to do with the possible chief, and the possible chief you'll be charged with whatever means by which a thief went on a burglary or just common theft, that kind of thing there. So again, my point now is where to make the laws them. They want the way to make their laws here, then for think very. So if you want to deal with the issue holistically, the people that would sell the helmet them also for be able to meet the standard, and there should be law regulating the actions. Because if they go buy some substandard thing just to make quick money, they're not going to meet the intent of the law, which is to protect about the top of public safety in the event of an accident. But if you go past law, you just focus only on the riders and not the people that where they import the helmet, them, not the people that where they sell them, you're still going to find the law very difficult for enforce, because a good lawyer will take all of them into account and bring them to the attention of the court. You see, there is fun in denting there, and you go enjoy them, where lawyers are trained for do this counter argument with respect to laws that are being passed. So I'm just simply coming up with it here. We'll get, and let me, before I read this, let me read this comment. Why is it difficult to maintain any progress we make in Sierra Leone? Well, my answer to that is generally that's human nature. Anywhere in the world, unless people and no say they will pay, there is a price to be paid for violations. It will be difficult for comply with any, or we'll just be playing with ourselves. Scrap all commercial bikes, bring a proper bus transportation system. The problem with that, the bus need to go everywhere. There are areas in the western area, Waterloo, get villages them. They get, villages then that don't have access road, automobile or motorized access roads. So if you don't have commercial bikes, these people may have to walk miles with load na the head for kind of main street for be picked up by a bus. So these are all the things we take into account. So, and I think Okada is a necessity by way of social structure in Australia, a necessary means of transportation. So we just can't brush it off, So we cannot scrap all. But Mr. Mengot, let me turn it over to you. But let me also tell the
I need
listeners
to comment on this helmet business. By the way, we just get somebody where for the first time they tell we say in the listen to we all the way from the Dominican Republic. Say, I'm watching this
Wonderful.
time from the Dominican Republic. So you go be say something. I don't know if na Salonian we go holiday or go for work at Dominica. Welcome. Okay, let's talk about this helmet because I want follow up where one of the commentators then say why anything good na salon we not they implement them. Let's go to this helmet. Just recently, just last week, they been get the Global Ministerial Conference on Road Safety in Marrakesh, in Morocco. And Sierra Leone was represented there. And I know because I was monitoring it from this side, because I did a group where they call African Alliance for Road Safety. I'm one of the experts there. So, some time ago, in 2013, we've been done, some experts from Africa, myself included, come together and we drafted an Africa Road Safety Charter. We'll forget collaboration, we learn from other countries them. And coincidentally, this last ministerial conference will take place. The FIA, which is the Fédération Internationale de Automobile, the people that they deal with Formula One, say safety, the Bloomberg Foundation, then go there with some helmets them, where they try for promoting other parts of Africa. So what you do with people and they go to their meeting and for learn from the other country than they. And if you imagine that charter was passed in 2013. Now where will people and go there? This year and then say, oh well, then they go ratify the charter. But I don't blame Salon no more, not to Salon one. Out of the country in Africa, now less than 20 don't sign that charter there. So we can't forget, and when will people then go then conference then they, when they attend them workshop then they come back with some lessons learned and follow up. Not for just go, then say, we go. As you say, then go for standardize that element, the type of helmet you get. Make workshop for producers, standards bureau up then game. Make the man where they import the helmet know say that this standard will get. Because standards bureau forget away for testing. How do you test the helmet? If you want to talk for me, I know. One need to talk about the comfort. Because you get forget a particular padding. Then you take the helmet if it's the material where it made of. Then also say you get for strap them. You get forget that secure strap. So if even if for them, the helmet's not come out, now you aid. So these are the things you get for look, test them, and get it standardized, and give them numbers them. Certification number say, only helmets that will meet their certification, then now you can import. So that's where you start. And also try for get the riders them, for sensitize them. You talk one thing again, what I've been to do. You talk about laws. There was a time when I've been start with the Poda people. Then lawyer where they talk about so. I was doing audios on traffic law in Creole. And some of the people that have been they follow me, they record a lot and they. And Boku then come when they meet with enforcement authorities, then they able to play them lot and they. And I get them from reliable sources. A lot of the time, they are able to escape penalties because of the internet. Now, we the people really aid and abet and condone violate the law stipulated set for guidelines. Law is again about this thing because I'm going to the next one. The next law will be talk about when the law where they deal with carriage of persons on motorbike. Because this person will talk I go to that ending at the next law. When at section 122 of the Act. Section 122 come back, it say a person, any rider not for take more than one person in a motorcycle. Yeah? But we don't see boku them when mommy then they put them school picking them 2, 3 in a motorbike for carry and go school. And the reason for that, they're infant then they, because in other countries the world don't go, in Africa, the parent teachers union they can come together, then get their own bus then for the carry their infants then they. If you remember Mr. Shillon, the one that we can get couple, right? We they enjoy that privilege there because when we go secondary school, we get down and we go Frobe College. Because that Frobe College school there, we get bus. When they bring some of the then lecturer and picking them, can drop in a Prince of Wales and in Walsh everything. So the schools themselves and the parents them get for look at this transportation of children to and from schools. Because the big buses then are for the secondary school picking them. And even that will get problem. Because with their school bus then they wait it happen. When the government bring them come, they send that the local authority then for operate them. 2 things. One, the local authority they not get the management capacity for operate them buses then they. And 2, they not even get enough money because from the taxpayers the money, then for runner. So funding of them buses then they we don't do program previously we'll see some of them school buses and they know they run because they not get money for buy petrol. 3, the amount where they charge and overcrowd the bus, the operating cost not they relate to the revenue. So school transport now an issue where we get for look at particularly, especially we camp and them modes of transport. So these are some of the laws them. As we go, we don't talk about the of we don't talk about regulation, we don't talk of restriction. Person the way right say, we the citizens them, we serve the help for break the law. Because that mommy we go put in 2, 3 picking them. When are under 5. I say under 5, under 10-year-old. Now Okada is guilty. What you been calling yourself? There was one thing you talk in law, which is I read on somewhere today, accessory to the fact.
Accessory before the fact. Accessory before the fact
and accessory after the fact. Yeah. So even we the passengers and we the people them, we for be aware. So we get one call on the line. Rest me voice first. Before that, after this, we'll go into the agencies that were responsible for the law. So you can give them the prompts, Mr. Shillon.
All right. Hello, caller. What do you know your name? Where the call from? Hello, caller. Hello. This person must be calling from, most likely. Hello.
It's ringing, but it's not coming on.
Hello. Okay. When the call comes back, we'll take it. Okay. With respect to somebody saying one of the comments we just can't just know, Mr. Mengot, was the person. If the control room can put that comment there, the last comment we just will come at the screen again, make a read them for precision. Then before I comment to say, no person or persons must ride motorcycle without protective gear for your own safety. Is it that simple? Yeah, it's simple if that's if that's an effective way of drafting the law. But it's not as simple as you may think. Because when you say no person must ride a motorcycle
you should continue to read. Sorry, continue to read the rest of it because it will put it in perspective.
Yeah, but it's only in Sierra Leone will condone violation of the law. And I'm deliberately not read that, but I don't think so. Because generally speaking, human beings worldwide have the tendency to be lawless. The reason why we're able to operate as a civilized society, the reason why I not go past being Mr. Mengot in yard, I go past na treat for go to a certain point. Now because Mr. Mengot might stop me or threaten me, say I not for past a yard. Otherwise, my inclination would be one come out to somebody come out for past and yet other person yet make a shortcut. Now human tendency that one day. The human tendency is if you are a male, night.com, you want wet, you could also want for go anywhere and wet. The difference between and developed nations then and developing nations and underdeveloped nations is because people's minds are being trained to comply with the law. And you can't comply with the law unless you know say there is a price to be paid. So when this person say only in Sierra Leone, I don't think so. And I stand corrected. But it's not as simple as it sounds because you say get protective helmet. Okay. But we just mentioned protective helmet is too vague. What is protective helmet? You get forget standard. Now me, Mr. Mengo, to talk about. There should be a standard. Otherwise, you will get substandard gear them, protective gear them, way not as protective, but it looks like a protective gear until there's an accident. So there is more for the government, even when they say for meet the standard, their standard there for meet testing standard, whether with the test an Australian or we've seen it tested, that particular standard quality there has been tested elsewhere, because the whole idea behind this is for safety purpose. So we just kind of say protective gear and leave it at that. So the law will be ineffective, the law will be bad, the law can be challenged, because if in a country like here within the sue, you will even sue the manufacturer of the helmet if it turn out that it don't meet the standard prescribed by the Standard Bureau. So writing a law for say for meet protective standard, that's true. Then the other question is, does that requirement create an undue burden on the rider? Okay, because we are talking that the reason why that they work in that country there, because we don't have commercial motorbikes. So it works because most times, if me one ride there is a 90% chance it's going to be me alone, or me and my wife, so we'll get, or me and my family. So we'll get 2-3 helmets than us. But if not, what we in a commercial nature would talk about. So now, is it reasonable to impose on the passenger, where they come on at some village, that if you want to take Okada for bring on a main road, that if you get some kind of helmet, is it reasonable? You get for question the reasonableness of the law. So you just need to pass on because you get the power. And then does that law create undue burden on that passenger day? Would they pay for the right way to get? Should the responsibility be imposed on the operator of the bike? And if so, is it reasonable? So there are a lot of things that go into the thing here before the law becomes solid. It's all I'm saying. So you just can't say, you get forget protective gear, and it's that simple. It's not as simple as it may sound. These are some of the problems that we would get in Africa, particularly a country like Sierra Leone. We show, I hope just by making the critical analysis there, would they begin to see how it is not as easy as it seems for make laws and for enforce them. But the sole purpose for when you make law, you try to figure out how it can be enforced to get the intended effect. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. So for now, let me just stop there. And then, Mr. Mengot, you can continue, sir.
Yeah, so we don't fumble them. We don't deal with first part of the law. The second part we want to deal with now the institutions that were responsible for enforce the law. Or we say the one for regulator. Very important. Because I want to take in a down memory lane. Because this program now for where they look at problem, as we can say, na Creole, look who say you walk with foot, not look who say you for done. For now, look who say you walk with foot, I want to take people along see how we begin regulate transport from the time where Okada self not been there. The first agency we will ever get for regulate transport in Sierra Leone, that is Sierra Leone Road Transport Corporation. That was immediately after independence, which was an act passed in Parliament in 1964. Waiting have been that corporation their responsibility. In responsibility now for regulate, we'll get a call on the line. Let will take the call if we're able to get them before I go to that part there.
Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from?
Alpha say today I call from the Dominican Republic.
Okay, Mr. Sise,
Yeah,
welcome.
Dominica.
Thank you for reaching out to us. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I thank you for the good job. Yeah, about the regulations about this commercial transportation that's along keke, and stuff like that. So I got questions because did they have any transportation inspector office that's along where they we not then can regulate mostly this commercial driver, for example, like making the class them like every commercial driver, whether not Keke, Okada, or Kokoda, but they take classes every year for make sure they tell them safety of driving and all that stuff. And then also my other question one gets with all the problem that we have involved in driving, like accidents, let me say for speeding, let me say 2024, we got any data where then put that the system say 2024 now 300 accidents will get way involved speeding or DUI or OUI, I'm saying driving while intoxicated. Because some driver then they underway take medicine. For example, they don't feel good today. Say, okay, I'll go take medicine, maybe my body go better. Then go take sleeping pills and sit down at the wheel. You know what I'm saying? And then drive. They don't know, say, because some medicine and the doctor they prescribe for the body, and they put you for sleep. So what does that mean? That means you go take that medicine, you go sit down behind the wheel. They end up forget accident at the roadway, so they sleep, they just you don't know what they happen. Accident they happen. So is there any provision where then they teach them where all the are working involved? Because the accident that they see an salon, you just know they believe how this happened. Because some man they go down with medicine when I prescribe medicine where doctor don't prescribe for. Well, that medicine is a medicine where they take and then when they don't speak. Not to pay for things was not the window. And then also about, let me say, when they talk about picking them, anybody who gets 10-year-old or they go to the market, they're fine and stuff like that. Now, when they drive taxi, do you not taxi driver? You get for tell the inspector office for say, okay, may I get infant seats or toddler seat in my taxi? So then they put out as an attribute. So in case any customer call taxi, they say, okay, I want to send driver and I will get toddler seat and infant seat. You, the taxi driver, will be don't put that information. Then have the system. Will say, okay, cab number 10, in get infant seat and toddler seat. Then I will send it. If you don't put that attribute now the system, then they ever send customer will get it in. Let go pay customer will get it because they know not get a toddler and infant seats. And then I mean, ask the question about the data system. If we got any data system that DUI thing, say, okay, 2024, we get 2,000 accidents where it happened then with a DUI accidents. And what you will go do to stop it here, may not happen. I rest the case today. Thank you.
All right. In this case, Mr. Mengot, the expert, let me just throw in me a rough idea as a lawyer. And so then he go do the overall of 14 I get for through it. This gentleman, Mr. Sisewo just called so from Dominican Republic. I think he actually, if we get statistics, if we maintain statistics of road accidents, the types of accidents, and so at the end of the year, will be able to announce to the public and to the world, as a matter of fact. Then things there. Then he also they talk to we about effect of medication on one's ability to operate a motor vehicle or a motorcycle. Okay, so it's true that alcohol now get the bad name without a doubt. It creates appreciable impairment, meaning that they affect your system, your thinking, your mental and physical faculties. Alcohol they affect them when you drink them, even in a minute amount. But when you drink them in a large quantity, it can become because I wouldn't say appreciable impairment. You may be impaired, but as you drink, like the impairment you get from drinking 2 pints of star beer will not be the same as the impairment you will get from 1 star or half a glass. So there is some degree of impairment. But what people also not realize, like Mr. Sise just mentioned, which is true. Again, this is where coming up, making laws, it's not as easy as it may sound. Somebody go and get a road accident, a crash into the back of a car, or they go crash into some market woman, then say, oh, it must be the drink, or sometimes they fall asleep. Well, then it becomes highly technical issue. Let's assume that he fell asleep operating the vehicle as a result of medication we take. Okay, not even liquor. He fell asleep. Now the issue becomes, was he on notice? Did he know that medication, because the man feels sick, he say, well, you sick, you for take medicine. He go take medicine, then it leads to some other kind of side effect, impairment of the mental and physical faculty, where mental and physical faculties will lead to him having an accident. So how does the system deal with situations like that? How do those facts come up that he was not drinking, he was a victim of medication, or whether he knowingly take the medication? Because sometimes you can take legitimate medication, you can take overdose because you aren't well quick, and say take 2 tablets, you take 3. And some people could say get good effect. Okay, so how do you pass laws or legislate laws then wait for make sure so all this fall within the realm of the Constitution or the statute or the try for used for enforce the law? So it's not as easy. It's all I'm saying. There are a lot of things, but that's why we have the parliamentarians. That's why, so not to the public then get for worry about that. That's why you get in civil servant here, the Attorney General, members of Parliament. That's why you have these people, they're being paid exorbitant amount of money for do this thinking, while everybody else lay on the sleep. Unfortunately, not always then they carry that responsibility, but at the job that because they're being very well paid. So how does the man where they operate an Okada, will take medication, will fall asleep, and get an accident? To what degree is he responsible for the accident? To what degree is maybe easy access to the medication we take to? There is a whole lot to take into account. That's all I'm saying. So laws are not just something for us pass because some other country get them. We for pass them and try for like we need for the do like Mr. Mengot say, if they do recordings, then what people may listen to. Not to always for the go abroad. Now technology is such you can get somebody abroad, right in Freetown, in a hall, one person from any part of the world, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, America, can give a lecture to a room full of people with respect to safeguards or the safety regulations, rather than for send 10, 15 delegates to Ethiopia or to America. I'm not saying that should not be done, because there are times you need for some of them people, they didn't see out the actual flow and operation of traffic in some of them countries there. Vis-a-vis which we get. So sometimes it's good for get people and for come abroad, for look at how things they operate. Because we can just take my own profession. I don't care any lawyer will enter in Australia. I don't care how smart you are. If you don't enter the courts, I'm sure the same might apply in Canada and England. If you don't come and see the court system on observer and study it, and see the sophistication from the law schools to the law courts, you will never be able to imagine it. So if you get anything to do with policy making, you will try, but it's not going to be up to international standard because of lack of exposure. So sometimes it's worth sending people abroad to see other existing operations then. So that's all for this moment. So let's go back to Mr. Mingot.
Okay. The caller, Reportel, and thank you, is one of our regular. He raised 3 points and question we ask. In fact, one of them, nine of the next section we want to go to. We forgive with people them sort of a timeline of the agencies them or regulatory agencies they will create for do them here, and waiting at some of the problems then we come back to the law where you say we meet on campaign for. But let's start the first question we ask. They ask if we get accident statistics. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
Now, I can say for the viewers the way they look at, if you can see, I will put something up. This was the first document when I work with the police to produce accident statistics. And that time, it was under a retired AIG now, Patrick Johnson, when we produce. And these statistics, the record, you get details of all who side the accident then they be, who they involved, waiting at the cause of the accident, almost people then die, and almost people are injured. So we get them. We produce them in 2017, in 2018, in 2019, and so forth. But it is not a complete business, because when you look at accident statistics as a traffic engineer, you get different sources where they get them from. Then statistics are record will get. Now record where the accident is either investigated by the police or reported to the police. And also, if in a road accident, we get a system that's allow if you go to hospital, you get major injury, then you ask for police report. So all that they cover. But one other side where is very important, where the statistics not complete. Now the insurance companies them. Because get Sierra Leone Insurance Association, you and I know in them country here, your accident record, now they determine your premium. Like we also, when they take your age consideration, then you get within a no claims bonus. I can proudly say from where they drive in this country for the past 15 years, touch wood, I not ever get accident or involved in an accident or make a claim. So that means my premium then very low. So when we connect the statistics, I will need to put it into policy. Okay. Now, when you talk about accident statistics, for collector, not to anyone on the team. Now, how you use the information for improved policy, right? For instance, when you compile your statistics, you find out, let's say 20% of the accident, not through mechanical failure of the vehicle or the condition of vehicle. Then how do you change that process? You get to look about the roadworthiness test of our vehicle. How robust it is. People's knowledge of road maintenance, vehicle maintenance. If Natue deal with the road design, yeah, because until you get some sharp cover, you know, say, now the infrastructure. If na human behavior, reckless driving, you know, say that because people and sometimes, you know, they train them boku or the law, you know, they enforce them. So that's what you use accident statistics for. Getting the statistics is one, interpreting it and using it to formulate policies that system they will not get. So now the first question, Dandy, I don't answer. The next one we talk, we get laws then we deal with driving under the influence, but it only relates to alcohol. And even when it comes to drugs, because at one time, the Sierra Leone Brewery been give Road Transport Authority some breathalyzer. But the irony is, why not a company where they produce alcohol, then they rely on for give breathalyzer? Doesn't it don't make sense. How come we will get a whistle? Right? The other way they can test you for dentin and they now either a blood test or urinal test. All that they cover under we law. But you talk about the cost of operation, the processes and procedures, implementation, that's the problem. Now it comes to the third issue I raise about people that way they take drugs which might impair them either driving or riding. The problem we'll get, right, is that not very many people, they buy them drugs them from certified pharmacies. Because when you go buy a drug in a pharmacy, if in a prescription drug, the pharmacist where they go explain, tell you how to take the drug and point you out waiting at the effect of the drug. So then they can write there. But when most people are not used for buy drugs from unlicensed pharmaceutical people, they're not sell them one sell. So that is a serious problem. I hope I don't deal with it. So the third one, we're asking about inspection. Now make sure the second part of this program, I want to go to how we develop the institutions, whether the overlaps them of the institution in terms of their responsibility, chain of command, and methods of coordination. I can go ahead with that if we not get any more on that.
Yes, sir. I think so. We can move on.
Okay. Now go back to history lesson. The first time where we get a regulator for public transport, now in 1964. And for sure people that mean I'm where they keep, I go ace up and see I'm not to say a lie the line. This is an act of parliament for the establishment of the corporation to be known as the Sierra Leone Road Transport Corporation. That is Act number 17 of 1964. Now, this one I'll show you soon a valuable asset.
Very
so
much
under
so.
that act, section 14 of that act, what's have been the responsibility of this Sierra Leone Road Transport Corporation? One, now them be responsible for regulate anybody where they travel or use vehicles in public transport service. At that time, that 1964, what we been get? We been get taxis them. We been get buses. That makes the Road Transport Corporation been operate them buses them. Those who can remember, Mr. Shilola, ring you bell back.
Okay.
I know say you guys are then double-decker bus.
Very much
Then
so.
Leyland bus. So that's where we started.
Yes, sir.
We started with the Leyland
Yep.
bus, double-decker bus, where some of we say we'll be in secondary school, we buy voucher as student for using them bus today. And in fact, some of them voucher, they now can give them gal them for Yanden gal them, give them bus voucher. Then after that, we changed to Mercedes-Benz buses. That was in the 70s. That's when we've been get the transport minister who had the knowledge on transport. We were Sam Bufona. He was the one who brought the Mercedes-Benz buses. So Road Transport Corporation was responsible for providing transport and regulating transport. Gradually, we begin get them Poda them. Then Nissan Poda them. We begin get one we go applying what we call Mil Kilo. Then Renault. So that corporation in 1964, now be responsible for both provide public transport and regulate public transport. Also, the Road Transport Corporation, according to the Act, now be responsible for designate routes. Because if you remember, when they operate in Afriton, Then we get number the like within a year. If you get them bus the way they go to the peninsula, you can get the mountain services there. We've been going in there, very organized. Now, come after that, we change. We get the Road Transport Authority. That was in 1976, post-Republic era. So that Road Transport Authority there, itself, they can get power for regulate transport in competition with Road Transport Corporation. So we get two authorities there now. One when they regulate transport, the other one is still they regulate and operate. So that's where the clashes come. In 1976, we'll get the Sierra Leone Road Transport Authority. Now, when President Kabaka post-independence, they amend the Authority in Act. That was the 2003. Now I make sure they bring the traffic ward in service. We don't have the authority there. We then say they regulate transport. So you see now you get two regulators. You get government, they regulate, government, they operate. That lead to the 207 Traffic Act. Another authority there, now still been there in charge. But later on, then change the authority in name to Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority without a corresponding legislation. So this Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority now, it take over duties like for licensed vehicle, for do driving tests, because we get road transport department when you do we scrap all that in it. For regular driving tests, number plate, vehicle registration. So from that, but the Road Safety Authority still they use the legislation where the Road Transport Authority been used. Now added to the problem, and I was part of that process, in 2023, we now create another authority called the Sierra Leone Public Transport Authority. The Sierra Leone Public Transport Authority now for responsible for regulate all forms of transport, because now apart from bus and taxi, we don't get keke when at 3-wheel, we don't get Okada when at 2-wheel, you know. But then looking back in the past, apart from that, other means of transport been there. Bicycle was regulated. But would have been the regulate bicycle? Now the municipality. Omolanke self was regulated. Now been the municipality. So some of municipality then they regulate out of ordinance. So some of the ordinance then they still there in the book. They don't get layers and layers of authorities them with different responsibility. Now what you can get now, you get tough wars them, you get laws them way overlap, you get some way obsolete. So one of the things where I've always said, we get for a look at all the laws and they will consolidate them, let apply to the modern day system. I will tell you why. Because if you take some of the transport laws then, they don't make sense. How many people they know say under the traffic system, if your vehicle not get mud guard, no problem. Then this idea of your vehicle having fire extinguisher, it therefore relate to the accident statistics for say X amount of vehicles don't burn. So compulsorily you forget fire extinguisher. Safety triangle, yes, I agree with it. There's also law we deal with, say you forget toolbox. What's the essence of that? You know? So there's an urgent need for look at the institutional mandate here, the traffic laws them, and the different composition of agencies, the way they regulate to transport system. And that nine of the problem we will lead to problem of enforcement. Then I will go over to you, then we can talk about the challenges and ways for enforce the law under the current environment. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, okay. In furtherance of what you say, to me, it seems like if they are really serious about just not engaging in action, of legislating, just pass law. Because every time you turn around here, Parliament they'll do this act, that act, that act, and you not see any beneficial results. There's like what you say, fire extinguisher, the possession of that in terms of road safety, is not reasonable because the statistics with respect to how many vehicles may have been caught on fire and how they caught on fire, and whether the fire was a result of an accident, all of that has to be taken into account. All of that have to be taken into account before you conclude, say, the majority of people should we own any operating vehicle, be it a keke, Okada, or Molanke, or private vehicle, forget fire extinguisher. Because as we know, even in the most developed countries where you get a significant amount of traffic, automobiles, vehicles don't usually catch on fire. That are the exception. Yes, sometimes you get collisions, what can lead to that. Sometimes it can be electrical failure, what can lead to that. And so that don't make sense. Again, like I mentioned earlier, when we pass law, we'll ever begin to think the reasonableness of the laws that we would pass, and whether it creates unreasonable burden on the citizens then. Okay? And then like the toolbox. If you have a toolbox in your car, let's just start with changing tires. How many people will they drive all over the world know how to change tires? What good will your toolbox be if you get a flat tire? If you get more serious mechanical failure, or you get your battery die, alternator not a work, starter not a work, and so on. What good will toolbox be to you if you not take some mechanical class how for deal with any situation and day? So you see, what does the past laws just for the fancy of it? These are some of the things that like we can criticize for, say, and maybe a lot of this thing then here stem from not putting the right people at the right place. Now, I agree. If you are in charge of motor vehicles, it don't necessarily mean you for be an engineer. But among your staff, you could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor if not the position under one give you. But among the staff, we should be able to, among your staff, you, the boss man, should have the common sense to have among your staff someone with mechanical motor vehicle mechanical knowledge. So you yourself, like the president of any country, nobody expects you to be the smartest guy on the team, but they expect you to be smart enough to pick smart people, and also smart people, and other people who get grade 1. Well, if you know how we can talk first class honors, this, that. They are not necessarily the smartest people at all. These are people with very good retentive memories. The very smart people are the people who could put into practice something where they don't learn with ease and able to impart that knowledge there. Because if somebody learn all this book, and we all, a lot of we don't go through that, or we don't run into, we don't take classes, like universities and colleges, maybe even in high school, where you get a teacher where he knows in subject matter very well, he's good at it, but you don't know how to impart that knowledge there. Get teaching skills, so you don't know how to transfer that knowledge there. All in your head. If you get on paper, you can write everything. But if you want to say teach so and so how to do this, get that skills there. These are all things we should be taken into account. So when we want to put somebody as head of transport agencies, if I be somebody either way get a history of leadership. Whether you not be army man, whether you not be police chief, if you be the lead, what you know is skill in managing people. And as a leader, you may have been leading people, 20 people, whether you're not a departmental leader, but how were you able to get those people to meet the assignment efficiently? That's not the skill, not so much the book skill, but how you be able for put into effect the job where they assigned for you for do. So I don't see how we will carry the in there if you not get people with the knowledge of traffic laws, you not get people with the knowledge of automobile skills, and you not get people with the knowledge of they not get administrative skills. These are all people that work for your team. But if you want to be the head of
I think we have a caller.
Yes,
I think we have a caller.
Yeah. But if you want to be the head of a department, but you want full them up with your friends, you want full them up with your relatives, you want full them up with your old schoolmates, them, that's very nice of you. That's very kind of you. But be assured that that department that you are called upon to run will never, ever operate efficiently because you've employed a bunch of incompetent people who don't know the right from the left. And then that reflects on you, meaning you too, when they do the hiring, and don't know your right from your left. So a lot of times, some of them things here, like what Mr. Mengo just mentioned, they are worth listening to. But how many times do we insert Mr. Mengo explain a lot of times the expertise, the work they would do, the experience. But when you hear a man like this, they talk about all in here and how he's worked for other country, you don't want to say, well, how do we get to where we are? How do we have all the lapses here in traffic laws, or we have somebody who's as knowledgeable? And we cannot rely on Mr. Mengot alone. We should have lots of Mengots, So, but we do have a disservice where we not take any of that into account. We just the individualized positions, even though the positions we don't give you for help for contribute to the progress of society. So let me go to a caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where's you call from?
My name is Alpha Sise again. I come from Dominican Republic.
Yeah, Mr. Sise from Dominican Republic. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you just don't mention, the able Mr. Mengot, we really not good expertise based on what they talk about driving and stuff like that, really experts. But you see, Salon, they don't let people that work in Sabi because you go there and reduce, the irregularities they can do. And, one of my favorite professors, P.L.O. Lumumba, at Kenya State, if it's time for contest election at Kenya, the first time we go in a village, we gather people there for telling, saying they run for president. But we do on that day, give water, give money, give them nothing left. And that day, we go over thousands of people they attend. The next day, I call back, say, therefore, call back for another meeting. We go the other meeting, nobody not sure. Why? Because you don't give them money, you don't give them water. So not for the knowledge and the that's not the problem. Okay, somebody like P.L.O. Lumumba, you piece away put on the power, you go make a lot of changes anytime we be a president. But Africa know they look for that. And then the question I get to Mr. Mengot Silo. Na America na Silo. Did anytime anytime where a president of America they go to any state or any city with a convoy, then they pass and kill people them, or accidents happen, or even if they do, then they just drive off. And then also, the other question I get is Mr. Mengot. You don't show me the data, you show me the book. Keep track at 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019 about the accident data. How many of them data then did from 2016 to present? Now, presidential convoy involved actors, or German them involved by the actor, or policeman involved by the actor, we actually people that die. And what did they do about that? Did any consequences happen? I rest my case.
Mr. Mengo, do you want to go, or let me just touch on something, then I can yield to you?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, Mr. Sise talk about very funny. I think we all know Professor PLO Lumumba from Kenya, a very eloquent, persuasive, charismatic motivator. He don't go salon, Nigeria. I mean, he's a man who is worth listening to. I never listened to Ram. I never start for listening to any of his speech and not listen to Ram to the end. One of Africa's most gifted people. But I don't know if people can follow away. Mr. Sise, the caller just say, PLO Lumumba is from Kenya. And but one of the top lawyers of the country, too, because he's a lawyer. And in fact, he's a lawyer's lawyer. But when we say, well, PLO go to a village, go announce say they run and people in can't wait, not get a nothing. Next day, kind of the village, they not show up. Then people say, well, I agree the man. But that leads me to a real, true story. Now, we own country. Someone who knew what he was talking about tell me, say, when President Kababe in power, when a minister then can find them members of parliament, just think he just make them abrupt visit, there's then surprise visit, think he can to President Kaba. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm just dealing with a particular situation. And then they say they can come, the panel they expect them, but when they can they announce themselves to the security then and say what tell Parliament, let me a member of parliament for so and so, or me a minister of this. So then can let them come in and go to the waiting room and then tell the president, say, you get visitors, the minister of this or member of parliament from here, there. So naturally, the president, as a matter of courtesy, doesn't usually say, oh, tell them, say, at the rest, at the sleep, or nobody expect them. They will go downstairs, go meet them, and welcome them and say, hello, gentlemen or ladies, and that kind of thing. So then say President Kaba was in the practice of offering you, what can you drink? Fanta, this, that, 7-Up, Savona, tell people them for Savona and everything. When I keep Lily company and everything, then finally when I say, well, pa, now that's how we go. He say, okay, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Shake their hand, and then he left. They say it was common knowledge, the MPs them during Kaba in 10, and they say, boy, this part, in hand dry, you go find and tell you the left, they give you nothing. Pass that and Fanta and 7-Up benching in there. And so now, you see the implied conflict there. You can't find the president forgive you something of monetary value, money or something of that sort, and you all are against the president where you to go if you not put your hand in a pocket and give you some money, then aren't you encouraging the president for be corrupt? Because if you take in your income for you now, and when they get paid, they can't do that. But there's also evidence of another president who, when you come to visit the parliamentarians, then did know, Sierra Leonean president again, always knew you not to go back empty. You will go back with hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, depending on, or pounds, or that kind of a thing, depending on what's available at the time. There was another president where always, so people in the campaign and just because and say, let us go to par, because we not say go broke with. So when this young man, they talk about, so sometimes we know they get the best and the brightest in our country for serve the people, because even the good one there among we feel say when you're not president for be corrupt, you for always get money, you for be rich, or you should get access to money, regardless if you get it or not. Okay, so let's just pass on over to Mr. Mengot, so we don't run out of time.
Well, somebody just make a statement where says some states in the US do not require motorcyclists to wear helmets. I found that comment very strange. If the person will write them, identify them states, then because here we deal with facts. Yeah, you know, go say some states. If you tell us so and so states, then not they enforce helmet law, they will take them say, yes, you're saying the right thing. That's my only comment. Now, when you talk about PLO Lumumba, he's somebody I know, somebody who I've met personally. Because as I said, I worked in Kenya for almost 7 years. And I made a lot of contribution to transport development in Kenya. And my legacy still exists. You know? As Chinua Achebe says, the lizard that jumped from the Iroko tree and landed on his stomach says, if no one praises him, he'll praise himself. And one of the things where I do at Kenya, where I think say urgently need na Sierra Leone, and that I was only able to succeed with the help of a visionary leader who was President Mwai Kibaki. Now for consolidate all the Kenyan traffic laws them, for couch one law will create the National Transport and Safety Authority. And that's a legacy. And that was one of the last things that Mwai Kibaki did. Because himself was a victim of road accident. Because during the time when he was about to be sworn in as president, he was in a wheelchair. So I appeal to the better part of him, and today Kenya is enjoying a lot of things, but I would not claim a single accolade for that, because it just happened to say I had the cooperation of the then chairman of the transport committee in the Kenyan parliament, when Roger Mong, the minister of transport, who was the late, who was Amos Kimunya. So it was a collective effort between the parliament, the executive, meaning the minister, and the president. And they want to make a difference. And that's what we need in Sierra Leone. So we then come towards the end of the program. And one of the things we want to do, now for say, okay, we don't talk boku boku, given we current environment, given we existing law, how can we enforce the law better? We don't need to change the law. We get laws that we will not do. But we get to take a systematic step. And then one day, I will end up with. Because you will address that problem of imprisonment, you will address that problem of arrest, and at the court directly. In management, then you say, anything where you're not able to measure, you know they manage. Now, like when you're in a house, if you're in a family, you're not the head of the family, you get your wife now in the cook, you know how much picking that you get. You get for know how in they eat, for know how much corporate should they cook for today. Now, so the manager. So with Sierra Leone now, I can tell you, first of all, we get for know how much vehicles and then at the country. I did a search on Google search. The only source I can get of number of vehicles in Sierra Leone is estimate from WHO, World Health Organization. And why? Because then they look at accident statistics. We get Sierra Leone statistics Sierra Leone. I can make this open statement now. You go through the website, they cannot tell you how many vehicles we have in Sierra Leone. But now look what the law says. Under the Road Traffic Act section, Road Traffic Act 2007, section 2, right? Subsection 3, it said the authority, when the licensing authority, should have a central register of all motor vehicles and trailer. And if you keep record of all that. So Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority now get the responsibility for keep record of all vehicles then, trailers, all type of vehicle. Then it said also that register there, anybody, ordinary Sierra Leonean, in a working day, can apply to the authority and that register there for open for inspection. I've been on time during the previous government. I wrote to them to say, okay, I want to know what's your registration, know the different type of vehicle. They told me it's confidential information. How can the number of registered vehicles, the number of vehicles, I don't understand. We get an agency called Right to Access for Information. I wrote to them as well. They also fobbed me up. So number one, we cannot provide actual details and statistics of almost registered vehicles we get in the country, especially with these Okadas and Kekes, because there's been complaints, allegedly, that some of them are not registered, they're not insured, they're not licensed. Is it not a recipe for disaster? So the first thing we for doing forget that register according to the law, we are quote. And when you register, this is a modern system. All countries will get what they call ANPR, automatic number plate recognition. Like we get America, we get England. Policeman can stop me today. He just need forget me vehicle registration. He go no say na me get a vehicle there. He go no say I insure that vehicle there. He go no say I get roadworthiness test. In an instant. Why can't we do that in Sierra Leone? So first, we get an accurate register. Second, we get a system for the enforcement officer. They went at the police, the road safety cops, and Freetown City Council, where for able access data. Insurance don't begin to have been published the insurance number. Now you get an insurance number with ring for find out if vehicle insured. Kudos, that's a development. Now these are the talks that the institutions that for work together. So the insurance then for work now with the police and road safety authorities for get accurate records. And we'll get accurate records there for avoid everything. Under the same act, the 2007 Act, we get one section where we know they operate, where they operate here. Then in a section 100 of the Act, then for disqualification of drivers using a penalty point system. In fact, in Salon, they talk and say, then bust your license. So we get a system where even the Okada where they violate or drivers they violate, if we get accurate record, you bring 3 strikes, you are out. So the persistent offenders or people where they're involved in accidents, you can able ban them from driving. And you go still able monitor them if they violate that law. It is a law. It is in the books. Now for put systems and procedures together. And also, now forget institutional support and collaboration. Let's make Sierra Leone better. I hope so the people are in authority, they listen, and we go do something right. So we don't talk about the problem, but at the end of this program now, we able give some kind of solution. So we get one more caller.
Let's take one more call.
Yeah, let's take one more call. Then you go do a roundup. Then we go finish the program.
All right, sir. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where's the call from?
Yes. Now, good evening. This is Nafodi Mustafa. The call.
Hello, Mr. Mustafa. Welcome. Thank you.
Finally, when I touch on the one we are getting this over, where you talk about statistics alone. Statistics alone only did for census. We now for make election. Any other statistics we ask them, they don't get them. Winners alone. I can read politician and he talks, say, oh, we will meet electricity 13%. Or now we don't make them 30%. He asks him how shall you get a figure? Then you know the number of houses in the country, you know the number of people in the country, you don't know all of these things. They are not interested in statistics. All the figure they will get na United Nations, World Bank, na the GIWI.
Precisely.
I even don't talk about ones of them. Even the GDP of Saloon. Now people estimate for we not get them.
Mm-hmm.
Where you in that country there, now them make them call GDP. The things that only produce inside the country in a year. So like when you pay taxes then. So when they say can't file for tax them, now they talk about the GDP, all man in home income, family income, and they put together. Or the one that they sell then they pay the tax, they know what's in the value of the things then at the shop, they put them together. But we now United Nations they give you or World Bank now they intimate to GDP. These people, Sierra Leone, for now, the only administration where they get interested in our politics. When they take politics now, the party in power and then they enjoy pay themselves, not for better the lives of the people. And statistics, our law for now, forget what we not get no stat. It can't pump. But people are all them to they insured and they pay license, but they don't even want to check how much motor them don't come register this year or whatever statistics in the country. Even the NCRA, Masala Samba, we don't tell them, say, if we're not serious in this country, we not only spend money per census, we now go invest on the NCRA because NCRA they take somebody in DNA. I mean, in figures, them biometric figures, they for make them looking at this person. So in that, and tell them, say, if we not spend money per this institution like that, 10, 20 million they spend per election registration or census, when I put an NCRA, they will get a system where they will make sure and they chase all man at this country for putting in biometric features inside the system. But then in conclusion, me I just know say we not get no statistics in the country. Even the one that they pull for election, they're not reliable. Anything we can talk about now for make politics say we meet at 5, we don't make at 20. But the bottom line is nothing is progressing. And when I thank you very much for the evening again.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa. Let's also respond to somebody very quickly because I think someone had called and say, and not to all states, which may be true, require helmets at the United States. I think so. Mr. Mengot say it will be helpful if that person they can give me the names of 1 or 2 or 3 places, or at least one. So something comes in. For example, in Indiana, motorcyclists over the age of 18 are not required to wear helmets. However, those under 18 and learners are required to. Good information. We'll search for more. I think we can Google that and probably be able to see how many more such states than the United States. But that's one uniqueness about the United States too. They not get, except federal laws, but the state they not get uniformity in the laws. They can get variation. We in North Carolina here will begin make right turn on red lights. Some other states we don't start them years before we start that. So there's a lot of copying, but so I'm not surprised. But thank you very much for the information. So let me go ahead.
Let me just comment on that quickly before you go.
Yes, sir.
The reason that shows what you've been asked, the reason why they do that, because now from statistical record, because if you look at them, it appears that people that are under the age of 18 and learn at them, they are more vulnerable to accident. That makes you require.
Correct.
Then sometimes it will happen in the state of Indiana, there's not many people using motorbikes. So motorbike accident is not so much. And unlike they don't get commercial motorbikes.
Oh,
so that's
the main distinction. That's the main distinction. Commercialization of motorbikes is a major distinction.
Yeah. Okay, sir. I can give you the last say, and then we can say goodbye because it's time for people that we get for
I don't have anything else to say with respect to that. To just say thank you very much to everybody for listening. We appreciate your dedication to the program. There are many other things you could be doing at this time of the day or night. So we greatly appreciate everything. And again, we wish you now a very happy, peaceful Ramadan season. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. Mengot. And good night.
Well, for me, I will say, I tell you, thank you when I listen to we. I'm glad the way some people and they put some points for educate we. Like this person we talk about Indiana. There's no monopoly to knowledge. And also, we the Christians themselves, this is not critical time because this coming Wednesday, now Ash Wednesday. So we serve the start almost the term for look at we own religious calendar leading to Easter, and also Salon we know say we in a country where they observe religion. We are one of the country where they express religion freely, and we come off full of tongue and fobe. We all na Christmas, Christian Muslim. So I go say Ramadan Kareem to all my Muslim brothers them, and let the holy month with all in our prayers and supplications be answered by God, and we wishing a good luck and a happy week and accident-free week. Until we meet again, me and Victor Akumengo, they say Tata from Surrey in the UK.